Right. So those of you that may have been following on the channel, one of my daughters has a 2017 Hyundai Elantra SE, and we've been following a little bit of an oil consumption issue. And the main thing for anyone with any older car, but especially Hyundai Kias, I would just say you really need to keep an eye on the oil level because if you don't and you're low, you could ruin your engine, ruin your vehicle. But as long as you keep oil in it, it could go a long ways. So our tracking of this issue began on February 15th of 2024 at 145,021 miles. While doing an oil change, I realized I wasn't getting enough oil out. It's supposed to take 4.2 quarts. I knew I didn't get that much out. So I knew I was consuming oil. And beginning at that moment, I needed to be keeping a very close eye on it. So what I did so that I could just check her mileage whenever I could, and it's going to be different amounts of mileage, I came up with a little formula to compare like in kind, where in a way it would make sense. So I decided to keep track of quarts per 1,000 miles. So however many quarts I added, how many miles had it been since I added any, and this is all to keep the oil level in the dipstick at the top of the range of the dipstick. So we went 1,210 miles before we checked it. We added zero point 0.8 quarts, so that's at the rate of 0.66 quarts per 1,000 miles. Because I added zero point 0.8 quarts per 1,210 miles, that's 0.66 quarts, two-thirds of a quart per 1,000 miles. That's a lot. That's going down at a very fast rate. So what I did some research. 5 days after that, I changed the PCV valve. Then the next time we checked it, it had 147,670 miles. It had been 1,439 miles since we last topped off the oil. So we're comparing the 147,670. It had been since 146,231 when we topped it off. So that had been 1,439 miles. We added zero point 0.5 quarts. So that's an improvement. Went from 0.66 quarts per 1,000 miles before the PCV valve change to 0.35 quarts, which is still a lot, but it's cut it in half. Then we went 752 miles, added a fourth of a quart, still at that same, a third of a quart per 1,000 miles. That got us to our next oil change at 149,963 miles. I should have made note of this. So during that first edition, we stuck with the oil we were using for the oil changes, the Mobil 1 5W20 full synthetic. In addition to changing the PCV valve, I also had bought a quart of the Lucas high mileage oil stabilizer. It's an extremely thick oil additive. So what I started doing here was every time I added, instead of adding oil, I added this Lucas oil stabilizer in hopes that it would start to help the situation. So for this in between oil changes, I added a total of 0.75 quarts of the Lucas high mileage oil stabilizer. Then we drain all that out for the oil change. And instead of putting 4.2 quarts of oil like we normally would, we substituted 1 quart of the Lucas high mileage oil stabilizer for a quart of oil. So we did 3.2 quarts of Mobil 1 5W20 full synthetic and 1 quart of Lucas high mileage oil stabilizer. Then we also changed the spark plugs at that same mileage the next day after the oil change. So then we go 1,088 miles and we have zero oil consumption. So we've changed the PCV valve, we've changed the spark plugs, and we've have almost a fourth of our oil is Lucas high mileage oil stabilizer. And so we check it again, 1,679 miles after the oil change, and still oil levels full. We go 2,427 miles, so we're almost halfway through our 5,000-mile oil change interval, and we have not lost anything. So this is great news. Most of it, I'd say half attributed to the PCV valve and the other half to the Lucas high mileage oil stabilizer. So then in January, after 2,733 miles, I added a fourth of a quart. So that's pretty insignificant. That's 0.09 quarts per 1,000 miles. And the vehicle would have been fine if I did not add that, but I wanted to record everything that I measured and added. So during that entire oil change interval of 5,000 miles, we we added a total of a fourth of a quart. Um, so now we did another oil change in February of 2025. That's our mileage, 154,942. The change here is that we went back after running 5,000 miles of the oil stabilizer, the Lucas. We went back to just the oil, just see if we can learn something. So back to the oil without the oil stabilizer. And then now here we are today. I mean, this isn't today, but it brings us up to recent. 3,057 miles into this 5,000-mile oil change interval, and I had to add an entire quart. So now we're back to the 0.33 quarts per 1,000 miles. I had already made a decision on our next oil change. We're going to start running the Valvoline Restore and Protect instead of the Mobile One. So we had already purchased that. We were out of the Mobile One, so we used some of that along with some other oil I had to make up that quart so that we still have enough to do our full oil change with that coming up soon. And so this is where we're at. So this is pretty informative because it lets us know the PCV valve did need changed and did help us a lot, but that really substituting 1 quart of oil with 1 quart of Lucas high mileage oil stabilizer at an oil change really does help significantly. When you use that stuff, you realize just how thick it is. So, my main concern about that is, you're say you're using 5W20 oil, but you're really not if a fourth of it is this extremely thick oil stabilizer. It may not matter, it works, but here's where here's what I'm thinking. If you weren't gonna check your oil between oil changes, that's very dangerous, and you definitely should use something like the Lucas High Mileage Oil Stabilizer. But we check it. I don't have any problems keeping an eye on my daughter's oil level, so I'm going to stick with oil only, not using the Lucas High Mileage Oil Stabilizer for now, because I want to give the Valvoline Restore and Protect a chance to do what it's advertised to do, which is clean engine deposits and restore internal engine components. So, what I'm going to do for this coming up oil change, probably in the month of May of 2025, most likely it'll be in May. Um, do run this Valvoline Restore and Protect 5W20 for 5,000 miles and keeping an eye on it, like checking it every 1,000 miles to see where we're at. We will, of course, keep track of everything. And because I've already purchased it, that's what we're going to do. But I think because the thicker Lucas high mileage oil helps so much, what I might do on the next oil change is The Valvoline Restore and Protect, the highest weight it comes in with the 5W at the bottom number is a 5W30. So I think what I'll probably do after this next oil change of 5W20 Valvoline Restore and Protect is I'll probably go up to Valvoline Restore and Protect 5W30 and just do that. And what I'd like to do is give the Valvoline Restore and Protect 20,000 miles. So four 5,000 mile oil change intervals to do its work. So kind of my long-term plan is Valvoline Restore and Protect 5W20, check it every 1,000 miles, starting with the next oil change 5W30 of the Valvoline Restore and Protect. Check it, just keep checking it every 1,000 miles. And I think I'll just keep doing that for a total of 20,000 miles of service on the Valvoline Restore and Protect over the course of those four oil changes. And then at that point, if it's still burning a lot of oil or consuming a lot of oil, then I might consider going back to adding 1 quart of the Lucas High Mileage Oil Stabilizer per oil change. But at least I'll know that I gave the Valvoline Restore and Protect a chance to clean that engine. The engine should be in better shape. And so that's my plan, and I will keep you posted. But my main message would be the Lucas High Mileage Oil Stabilizer works. The PCV valve, I have a video on my channel, change that in a few minutes. And it was less than $20 on Amazon. I think it was like 13 bucks for the PCV valve. So you can do that. But whatever you do, check your oil frequently because, um, I'm hoping that the car lasts a very long time. Already has over 158,000 miles on it, and we need it to last quite a while. So that's what I would recommend, and I'll keep you updated. And I hope me sharing this information is helpful to you. Thank you for watching.